Hey there, everybody. It's taken me a little while to get to this camera test for the Galaxy S4 Active. I've actually been using the crap out of this phone for work situations, whenever I'm on set, or when I'm working out or going on a hike. Also, it's a little hard to get overly critical about this phone as it's such a known entity. We've seen camera sensors like this from Samsung on a number of phones now. The 8 megapixel sensor on board is pretty commonplace by now. Looking at these outdoor shots, again, there's good detail, and happily in the app, there's slightly less tendency to overexpose. Compared to the Note 2, Samsung has tamed some of the clipped highlights that we used to experience, yet this app still has problems with some of the most extreme brights. Compared to the Lumia cameras, for example, we're losing a lot of detail on these little flowers. Also interesting, the Active seems to do a better job exposing properly for the color red than the regular Galaxy S4. These blossoms still retain detail in the leaves. When I did a similar test with the regular GS4, the color was so oversaturated that a lot of detail was lost. Now onto a street scene, colors are vibrant, details are crisp, it's a solid performer. Hand-holding this video, the Active so far is one of the smoother cameras I've played with on a phone lacking image stabilization. It won't compete with the HTC One or a Lumia, but it seems to be a bit calmer than the Optimus G Pro, for example. However, on our walking test, that lack of OIS rears its ugly head in this video, bounces around with every step I take. No camera can crush this test, as the camera has to readjust focus while you're moving it around and moving forward. But the phones without image stabilization perform the worst. Thankfully, the Active is still better than other recent phones we've tested, like the HTC One Mini. Onto our exposure test, this is one area Samsung has totally nailed. The bloom as the camera moves from dark to bright is simple and smooth. There's no weird staging or pulsing or buzzing, no sudden transitions, and the camera doesn't start hunting focus whenever you make a change from dark to bright. It's simply stellar performance. On our low-light LED test, the torch on this phone is shockingly bright and will clip detail when used close to your subject. This is one of the better performers that we've seen in this test, and it might even do a better job of lighting up a small room than some of the other phones we've tried this with. Nighttime scenes get grainy, but thankfully Samsung doesn't scale back on the frame rate, and video stays reasonably smooth. Also, I happen to prefer the white balance here. Like Nokia, it tries to capture the actual color of the yellow security light lighting this scene, rather than trying to find pure white on the gate. Our nighttime traffic test is pretty par for the course. Samsung's camera app isn't nearly as jittery as HTC's when it comes to hunting focus, and it makes far more subtle adjustments tracking in the shot. While the Active is a fairly common camera at this point, it does come with one neat trick. It's a camera that can get wet. Oh, sure, it's fun running the camera under a tap, that'd be enough to freak out most people who don't have waterproof phones, but we want to see video samples from that phone completely submerged. And they're actually quite good. Even the mics on board do a decent job of retaining the feel of the scene, what the experience actually sounded like underwater. The Galaxy S4 Active is a decent performer camera-wise, and even bests the regular Galaxy S4 in a test or two. People interested in a phone like this buy it because they want a slightly more rugged device, and in the past, that meant making extreme compromises on things like camera quality. The Galaxy S4 Active only asks you to step back one generation in camera tech, and everywhere else it has the goods to back it up. As always, folks, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you all on the next review.